Before we get to micro reactors, we're going to talk about gypsum. Now, when we discuss the need to speed up housing construction in Canada, we don't really talk much about the materials vital to that process. A home can contain several tons of gypsum. It's a mineral whose name comes from the Greek word for plaster. Of course, it's used in drywall and other interior building products. Let's find out more about this industry. We're joined by Sid Tetz. He's VP of Sales and Marketing at CGC, which is a major player in gypsum in Canada, operates 3 mines and 5 plants across the country. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So just remind us, gypsum, it's a naturally occurring substance, and it's been used in drywall and plastering for decades, maybe centuries.
Yes, absolutely. So we've been in business for roughly a little over 100 years. So we've been supplying the building materials industry with gypsum-based products for about that long. Our foundation in Canada was really in mining. And from there, we started manufacturing what your viewers would most commonly know, like drywall products known as sheetrock.
Right. Why is it called sheetrock? That's just a brand name.
That's the brand name, yes. Yeah. And it's commonly used interchangeably within the category. So often people refer to it because we were the innovators of drywall.
Oh, I see. In what way?
We were the first ones to really make it on a commercial scale.
In Canada?
In Canada,
yes,
that's correct.
Sorry, yeah. So tell us about this new mine in Nova Scotia, a quarry, a mine. It's a big operation. You've got at least one truck there that can hold 200 tons.
Yes, absolutely. So we've just finished installing a dock so that we can load the gypsum onto ships. We've got crushers in place. We're ready to be operational roughly in 2026, so next year at some point. We're very excited because this particular facility will be able to supply gypsum for hundreds of thousands of homes annually, and certainly will be in place for the rest of my life.
So we're looking at the mine there,
yes,
in Cape Breton. And where will you ship the gypsum to?
The predominant focus of this particular mine is to support our Canadian industry. So we've got a national strategy to support from Canada, within Canada manufacturing. So we're investing $325 million across the country, 104 or 107 million in this particular asset. And we're also building a wallboard plant in Western Canada. And so this source of gypsum is integral to our strategy to be able to supply material across the country for construction.
You're building a big plant in Alberta.
Yes.
Yeah. How would you get the gypsum from Cape Breton, though, to Alberta?
It's a combination of ships and rail. So as you mentioned earlier, we have several mining sites across the country as well as across North America. And so we've got a diversified strategy to be able to support that particular facility.
This is a mine you're reopening. It's shut in 2016, I believe. It's been around for a long time. What was the process like? We hear complaints that permits take too long in Canada. What was your experience? I mean, there's always bureaucracy, I know.
Yeah, we have to, make sure that we recognize the speed of this project was actually very efficient for us in terms of working with municipal, federal, as well as provincial governments to help us with this particular project. However, in general, we would say that more turnkey solutions in Canada would help support reducing some of the housing challenges that we see, as well as support other manufacturers in increasing capacity so that we are less reliant or less vulnerable to outside shocks or disruptions.
What do you mean turnkey solutions?
Having infrastructure in place like electrical grid or different roadway systems, ability to, in our case, we're using ships to move the product around, barging, giving more permits or more readily available solutions from that perspective, rail solutions, those types of things.
Yeah, so just faster connections for a project could be a big thing.
Absolutely, massive, yeah.
Yeah, because it's sort of like war, isn't it? We don't think about logistics, but that's how you win.
I don't think we think about the raw materials when we think about national housing strategy and really the need to help drive the solutions moving forward.
The average home, I read, can have 7 tons of gypsum.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it's a significant amount.
What would the cost? Is it costly? I mean, it's not that much, I know, a sheet of sheetrock, but it's costly enough, I suppose, when you add it all up.
It's costly in terms of when you think about the labor component of installing it. And when we think about our products, we're really focused on productivity. How do we help the installer install it right the first time, that kind of thing, especially when you're considering at that scale, that amount of product going into a house. We're trying to make it easier for them to handle the product as well as transport from our mines to our production facilities to a distributor to a job site.
I have with my father or my father-in-law put up some drywall. It wasn't a pretty process. I think a pro would be, what's the main delay? Is it smoothing it off, getting the joints to look nice? Is that the time-consuming thing?
I think it's a time-consuming process from start to finish, just because it requires a lot of detail work that I think we walk past drywall all day, every space that we enter into. I don't think we recognize the amount of effort and energy that goes into it, but certainly finishing, if we can reduce the timeline that it takes for the finishing process to happen, that certainly would increase productivity as well.
Now, there have been trade tensions between the US and Canada on drywall in the past, drywall coming in. Yes. But will you guys say, well, this will help with the import substitution, your new plant in Nova Scotia?
Absolutely. Our focus is to make sure that we've got sustainable supply. Again, not leaving Canadians vulnerable to any kind of tensions. We think with generations in mind, from whether that's about sustainability or our supply. So we're really not focused on short-term solutions when it comes to supply chain. We need to have long-term strategies to be successful.
And now you're part of UGC, which is a huge player in the States, and then ultimately owned by a German company, a giant gypsum company called Knauf, I think it is.
Knauf, yes. Yeah.
And they're a global player in gypsum.
They're the largest supplier of gypsum globally, yes, right. That's correct.
And what is why does it occur in just some areas and not others?
That's an interesting question. I mean, we'd have to go back through the geology textbooks to uncover that one. But in terms of the value that it brings to construction, it's really a material that protects us from fire. So whether that's hopefully it's not it's our valuables and not necessarily our lives, but in some cases it might be people's lives. It creates a space to finish, to make our spaces look beautiful. So it's a very robust product in terms of what it offers.
Yeah, it has quite a lot of water in it, I read, which means it's fire resistant.
Correct. The water is really in the process to help us manufacture it, to make it easier to run down the line. And then a lot of that water is actually evaporated off.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, but it is reasonably fire resistant?
Absolutely. It's a key component in any building assembly to provide fire protection.
Right. And what about this modular pre-construction of homes and buildings? Have you guys been doing much work on that?
Absolutely. And I think that's where, strategically, when we think about our products, earlier I mentioned weight being and you talked about it in terms of your own lived experience,
right? It's heavy enough, yeah. Yeah.
So weight is a critical component when you think about modular construction and how we get the module from, the factory to the job site or to the completed site. So when we think about our products, we're really focused on that weight component because we're one component of a building assembly, but we still contribute a significant amount to that. And so as we can find ways to materially innovate, we can improve the success of modular manufacturers for sure.
Fascinating stuff. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you.
Sid Tetz is VP of Sales and Marketing at CGC. Up next.